We're now going to take a look at the Welcome To app, which is a slight modification to the first app that we took a look at. You can see here welcome2.sln in my Chapter 3, Figure 310, Welcome To folder. So let me go ahead and open that up in the IDE. Now, by the way, when you open up an app, if you had a source code file open the last time you closed the project, that same source code file will automatically reopen when you open the project. So the reason the source code is displayed right now is because I had previously opened the source code the last time I looked at this project. Now, this app simply uses two statements to produce exactly the same output as the first one. So let me just demonstrate that to you quickly. Start without debugging. Welcome to C# programming, all displayed on one line. The thing that I'm demonstrating here is, of course, two different methods, one called write and one called writeLine, both of which are in the console class. So there's a couple of things that I'd like to point out here. First of all, the key difference between write and writeLine is that write simply displays what you tell it to, writeLine displays what you tell it to, then moves the output cursor to the next line. So because write was called on line 10, welcome to and a space were displayed, then the cursor remained after that space, and then we continued displaying text on the same line. Now, you'll recall when we were typing the writeLine statement in the preceding video, let me cut this out and do that again, that once we typed the left parenthesis, this window popped up showing that there are 19 different overloads of the writeLine method. You can actually navigate through those by clicking these arrows, and you can see, let me just go back up, there's a version that can output a Boolean value, true, false, a character value, a character array, a decimal value, which is one of the numeric types in .NET, a double value, a float value, and you can see there's lots of different ones. There's one that outputs a string value, and that's the one that we're actually using in this example. So that's what we call the parameter info window, and it helps you to see what the parameters are that are expected for a given method that you're using. So let me just fix this. I'm a terrible typist, so I apologize. And once again, we got the auto formatting there, which I need to disable. So that was one thing I wanted to point out. Let's also point out how you can learn more about the console class and these methods. So as you may recall from an earlier video, there's context-sensitive help built into Visual Studio. So if I hover over any one method, it gives me a tooltip about the particular method that I'm using in the source code there. So for this one, it's saying that the console.write method takes a string argument and writes the specified string to the standard output stream. I can also click in that method name and hit the F1 key, in which case it's going to take me to the documentation for the console class's write method, and here is that complete list of different overloads and all the different argument options with the descriptions of what the purposes of those methods are. And if you want to learn more about any one version, you can click the link to that version and it will take you to the documentation just for that specific overload. And so it gives you example code and other information as well. So there's a lot of information there about each of the methods that you're working with. Separately, if you want to learn about the class itself, you can click in the class name and press F1, and that will bring you into the docs for that specific class. So here we see the console class, and over here it shows you that the class contains some methods, some properties, and some events as well. And we'll talk more about methods, properties, and events as we proceed through these live lessons videos. Basically, methods provide the functionality of the class, the behaviors of the class. Properties are typically going to give you access to various properties of the class in the case of a GUI control, things like the background color and the font, for example. And events are when we get into the event handling capabilities of .NET, which we'll first start doing in the Windows Forms lessons that come up later on. Now, going back over to our application, again, this is just a simple console application. The steps for building this are identical to the preceding video. So for this purpose, we're just looking at the changes in the main method itself.